What's going on, everybody? My name is Bendy, and this is Disney Heroes. Yes, my microphone does have a sweater on. He's cold, okay? So, today, we are finally going to get to the Invasion Noob Guide. I've been getting requested to do this Noob Guide since literally the beginning of my channel. Ever since I came out with the very first episode of the Noob Guide, you guys have been asking for an Invasion Noob Guide, and I am finally going to bring that to you guys. I felt like we finally got through most of the game modes, except for War. So now is as good a time as any to get on with the Invasion Noob Guide. Now, before I begin, you guys better smash the fuck out of the like button on this video. I don't know, just because. Why not? Without further ado, let's just get right on into it, because I don't feel like wasting any time today. So, Invasion is the final game mode that you unlock in Disney Heroes. It unlocks at level 60 if you are a brand new player. You must be in a guild in order to play Invasion. So get yourself into a guild if you want to play. It's definitely the most talked about game mode in Disney Heroes on the forums and the Reddit and all that stuff. Everyone seems to just always be talking about either new teams and how to maximize your scores and stuff like that. So I'm going to go through pretty much all of that stuff with you guys today, and also just giving some general tips on how to play Invasion. So when you first open up Invasion, you will notice that you have two different game modes within Invasion: the Breaker Quests as well as boss battles. Now, both of these game modes pretty much work entirely independently of each other, but also they support each other. So when you are doing Breaker Quest, you are going to be unlocking breakers, which are used to fight the boss in the boss battles, and the boss battles give you stamina in order to fight more Breaker Quests. So they work hand in hand, but also they are entirely separate in that the heroes that you use in Breaker Quests, like say for example, somebody dies in Breaker Quest, they will not be dead on boss battles and vice versa. So if somebody dies on both Breaker Quest and boss battles, you will have to use 2 revives. I don't know why I'm getting into this right off the bat, but just so you guys realize that they are 2 entirely separate game modes that kind of just work hand in hand with each other. So let's start with the Breaker Quest, because I know the main reason you guys are here are for the boss battles, so I'm going to tease you guys a little bit. This is the very beginning of Invasion. It is Monday as I record this. Invasion goes from every single week, Monday through Friday, and it alternates between the 3 team colors. So this week, you can kind of just look on the bottom of the screen here and you'll see that the supply crate is a blue mod. I highly recommend, as long as you have the diamonds, to buy this every single week. That's all. Just don't buy any of the other ones. Just buy this every single week. It gives you basically a free mod that you can use on any of your heroes. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to bring up. This will be pretty much a part 1 in a 2-part series. This one I'm just going to cover Invasion itself as the game mode, and in part 2 I'm going to dive really deep on mods. But just so you guys know, I'm not going to be getting too in-depth on mods on this video. It will be coming next week. Thank you, Jesus! Because mods are definitely an entirely other animal. So today I'm just going to concentrate on Invasion as a game mode. We're still going to be going through good teams to use on boss battles though, so keep it tuned for that. So yeah, buy that 240 diamond mod every single week. Don't even bother with any of the other ones. I don't really think they're worth the diamonds for any of the other ones after that. Let's backtrack a little bit. So Invasion is definitely by far the best rewards in the entire game of any of the game modes in Disney Heroes. You'll see on these tier lists that you'll get all these rewards. The first, like, 30 or so are extremely easy to get. You'll also notice that in tier 4 you get another mod. It's always going to be the same type of mod as the one that you got in that diamond crate that I just bought, so it just happens to be a blue circle mod. The rewards that you get from Invasion are going to be the best that you get in the entire game, so it is definitely highly recommended if you are able to try and complete all of the tiers at least every single week. After you complete all of the tiers, it does not really matter anymore for the amount of points that you get in Invasion. If you see people with the ridiculous scores on Invasion, they are pretty much just showing off at that point. To complete tiers, it takes about 1.5 million Invasion score. I'll get a little bit more into that as we get a little bit later on into the video, but just kind of keep that in mind. It can be a pain if you don't have the correct heroes though. But yeah, so you'll notice you get stuff like badge tokens, which are used to buy badges from the badge shop. You get a lot of gold. I think you get about 14 million gold total from all of the tiers. You get some stamina, which can be used obviously to level up your heroes, and you get friend disc power, which is used to level up your heroes' friend discs. You also get a lot of these mod fragments and other things that are used to level up mods on your heroes. I'm going to get a little bit more into details on that on the mod video, which will be coming next week, but just know that you get these in order to level up your mods on your heroes, which are definitely some of the most important things to get from Invasion every single week, as this is the only place that you can get these mod fragment items without spending actual money. So that is pretty much all of the stuff that you get from Invasion for just maximizing the tiers. Let's get back into breaker quests. Now, you have two options how to play the breakers. One, you can just go in one by one, hit next. As far as teams to do, you can definitely just do your top 5, especially to start with. Once you start to struggle a little bit, it can definitely be beneficial to strategize a little bit with who you want to use on your breakers. It's kind of just similar to how to fight on City Watch or Surge or something like that. You want to just pick a good, well-rounded group of heroes that'll just kind of work well together. There isn't a ton of rhyme or reason when it comes to breaker quests, so the teams really don't matter quite as much as they do on the boss fights, which we will be getting into a little bit later. Now, the first thing, anytime you see these flames up here, you can use these to power up your heroes for just that invasion. As soon as you open up this screen, you will get 3 random heroes. Usually 2 of them are always going to be on the team color of the invasion for the week. So this week it is blue. So every single time, 2 of the heroes that are listed on these 3 will be from blue team. And usually the third one is from one of the other 2 teams, or it could be a blue team like it is on here. But what I will usually do is I usually just kind of pick my team for the boss fights as my ones that I power up. Otherwise, I just hit +1 for all of the blue team. Now, if you hit this +1, it will automatically go to every single hero that is on the blue team. If you hit +1 on a hero, this instantly gives them +5 flame power-ups. So the power-ups, what they actually do is they give your hero +3 levels on all of their skills as well as their hero level. And this applies to friendship power-ups as well, so just so you guys know. So this means that, for example, my Kermit here has 7 power-up flames on him. This means that all of his skills have +21 levels, except for the red skill. Red skills do not count in this calculation whatsoever. When you're powering up, you could also, if you feel lazy or you're just kind of don't really care how strong your heroes get, you can also hit the max all 9. This will just use all of your power-ups instantly and give your blue team 9, in this case, +1 power-ups. And I don't like to max all, by the way, just because I like to have the control to level up the heroes that I want. But yeah, so like I said, you could fight him one by one just by selecting your top 5. Just hit a quick fight. You can fight manually, but quick fighting, it does nothing different whatsoever. So just quick fight. It's really no difference at all, and it saves a ton of time. From doing that boss fight, that we got 1 breaker. Now breakers, like I kind of mentioned before, they are used to fight the boss battles on the boss battle side of Invasion. So you need to collect breakers in order to fight the boss battles. So those are very important to get. You will also get invasion points. Now invasion points are what are used to level up your tiers and stuff. And then you will get a random boost that you can use for your fights in Invasion. I'll get into those in just a little bit. And you also get gold. So we're going to hit continue. Now from here on out, now that you kind of see how it all works, I'm going to just quick fight. So if you do this quick fight thing, it'll fight all 10 of the fights in the wave for you, or until you run out of stamina. But the point I wanted to make here was that there is 10 fights per wave, and then after you complete the 10 fights, you will get 3 breakers, 3 power-ups that you can use to level up your heroes, and you will get 10,000 invasion points, which will obviously just go towards your tiers. Alright, so we used all that, so now let's go over here. So this is now the boss battle side of Invasion. Now this is where the teams that you use to fight with get a lot more specific. There's a very specific set of heroes that work extremely well for boss battles. In the beginning, it doesn't really matter. As long as you have some fairly strong heroes, you'll be able to get to boss level like 100 with very little issues. Unless you're brand new, then you might struggle. But even if you're brand new, if you use the heroes that I'll be mentioning in just a second here, or just follow my formula that I'm going to mention here, you should be able to fairly easily fight in Invasion, even if you don't have the strongest heroes in the game. Invasion boss battles are definitely the one game mode in all of Disney Heroes that you can actually fight with very weak heroes. I've done it numerous times before. If you've seen some of my streams, especially the very first week, I think, that Shigo was out, I did an invasion stream and we were able to just completely destroy these bots up to a really high score with a purple Shigo that was like maybe 15,000 power or something like that. So a lot of it is more about the heroes that you use specifically versus power, or even team color. So when it comes to invasion, you'll notice if you look at my tier list that Animal is in every single invasion boss fight team on my tier list. This is because he gives a huge speed boost to his team, and it makes it so that his team is able to get their skills off extremely easily, which is a huge benefit to you against the boss fight. Just because your heroes can get their skills off faster and stuff like that. So Animal is extremely good for all three team colors. So that is going to be number one. Speed is definitely your best friend when it comes to invasion teams for boss fights. Number two in this formula is having a person that is able to slow the bot. This is key in making it so that the boss cannot do nearly as much damage to you. So some heroes that do this are going to be Kristoff and Louis, like I have here. If you're going to use Kristoff or Louis, you must use Kristoff's Kevin Flynn disc, Flynn Rider disc. This reduces movement speeds of the most wanted enemy, and the most wanted enemy is always going to be the boss, by 40%. And then when it comes to Louis, the Peter Pan disc, if one enemy remains in combat, their movement speed is reduced by 75% for the remainder of the wave. Especially in the very beginning of the fight, he's always the last one standing right in the beginning of the fight, so this will just trigger right away. So this, especially King Louis, makes it so that he is pretty damn good for all three invasion colors as well. And this is why a lot of the heroes that you see on invasion teams are going to be the same regardless of team color. Now some other options for slows are going to be Stitch. You could do Honey Lemon, although Honey Lemon is not as great. And then you also have Esmeralda, who gives your team a speed boost, kind of similar to Animal. So if you don't have Animal, you could also use Esmeralda potentially. I haven't really tested Esmeralda myself yet, but I think it maybe could work, but Animal is definitely significantly better. Also, when it comes to Animal, you must have the Gonzo disc equipped. That is what will increase your allies' attack speeds every 5 seconds. So you must have the Gonzo disc equipped, but it's the good disc regardless, so you should have the Gonzo disc equipped either way, whether you're using him for invasion or not. So just leave it on the Gonzo disc, you're good.
Keep going, you're good, you're good, you're good, and stop. Don't worry, Captain, we'll buff out those scratches.
Next key thing for boss fights in invasion is going to be some kind of protection from the initial laser from the bot. I will show you guys what that means once I get into an actual fight, but right in the beginning of the fight, the boss is going to just shoot a laser at you. Even if you have a slow on them or something like that, it's pretty much right in the beginning of the fight, so you want to be able to protect your team from that right off the bat. So I use Jim. Now Jim, you might not expect, but Jim, with his purple skill, is able to block an attack that Morph is attached to and completely prevent the hero from being damaged. So this is pretty much always going to protect your person that is standing in front from the initial laser beam from the boss battle. So that is why Jim is good. You could also do Angel, who once per wave will protect her teammate from dying from a hit. So in theory, as long as you have a slow on your team, this will make it so that the boss can only get off its laser beam attack one time in the entire fight, and that's going to be right in the beginning. So as long as you have a slow on your team, something to protect, as well as Animal, you will only have to deal with one laser beam attack, and this is why the slow is extremely important. So some of the heroes that are great for protecting your team from this laser is, like I said, Angel and Jim. You also have Hades. You could also do Davy Jones. I've seen a lot of people use Maximus. Maximus isn't super effective as you get to stronger and stronger bots, because eventually you'll get to a point where Maximus will eventually die to the laser beam, so obviously you don't want that. You also have Clawhauser, kind of the same thing though as Maximus. He'll eventually die as you get to stronger and stronger bots. Then you have Jasmine and Hyro. The two of them are going to be great because they have their companions that go with them. So Jasmine will send the Tiger out, and the Tiger will take the laser beam attack instead of whoever's standing in front. And same thing for Hyro. Hyro has the little tiny bot, and the little tiny bot is going to take the damage for you. Those heroes, and there's a few others, are definitely the best for protecting your team from the laser beam. Now, the final key thing is obviously going to be, how do you deal your damage? how do people deal billions and billions and billions of damage to the bot? Now, the key to this is percentage-based skills. Percentage-based skills are skills that reduce either armor or reality, or in Speed's case, speed, by a percent rather than an amount. So for the example of Blue Team this week, I use Shigo. Shigo and Russell, I'm sure you know if you've seen any of the social media stuff as far as invasion goes. Shatter is a crazy good ability now for invasion since it joined the game very recently. It has really just taken invasion by storm, and it's really changed the game. And the reason that Shatter has changed the game as far as invasion goes is because Shatter makes it so that enemies take 8% of their max HP as true damage each time they are dealt fantastic damage. So basically, you apply Shatter to the enemy, your team does fantastic damage, the boss instantly takes 8% of his max HP. So this means that Shigo has taken over for Blue Invasion, and Russell has taken over for Red Invasion for that very reason of Shatter. Now, when it comes to Yellow Invasion, I'm sure you probably know that Madam Mim is the queen of Yellow Invasion. The reason for this is because of Mim's blue skill. When she becomes a crocodile, which is facing a tank role, which according to the game's calculation, the boss is a tank, Mim deals 35% of the target's max HP as damage. This is why Mim does tons and tons of damage to the boss. The one thing that's tough about Mim is she can be pretty tough to keep alive. And then this also helps with Elastigirl and her Jack disc. Enemies damaged lose 95% reality for 20 seconds. So this means that every time Elastigirl does damage to the bot, he instantly loses 95% of his reality. So this is why people pair Elastigirl with Mim all the time for Yellow Invasion, even though Elastigirl is on the red team. Elastigirl makes it so that the boss loses 95% reality, and then Mim deals 35% of the boss's max HP as damage, as well as just whatever other damage Mim does. That is all fantastic damage. Now, the former team that used to be good for Blue Invasion, just to explain that as well, you have Mr. Incredible. Mr. Incredible does a very similar thing to his wife, Elastigirl. With his Elastigirl disc, his basic attacks reduce armor by 50%, and this stacks up to 3 times. This means that you can reduce the boss's armor by up to 92% or something like that, because it would be 50%, 50%, 50%, so it's not going to be 150%, but it does quite a lot of reductions. This basically does the exact same thing, except when it comes to normal damage. So people would often use Mr. Incredible and Pleakley together for this reason. I don't think Pleakley has any real reason that he is great for invasion other than the fact that he just does normal damage and he stands in the back. So he is safe from the laser beam attack and most of the damage that is dealt by the boss fight as well as the minions that the boss has. So Pleakley is just great because he does normal damage and he'll pair great with Mr. Incredible if you do not have the Shigo lineup that I will be using for invasion. So that kind of sums up how to do good in an invasion boss fight. Just to summarize, you need to have Animal is very important for just making it so your team gets their skills off faster. Having speed reduction is extremely important for slowing down the boss so that he can't attack you nearly as much. 3, you need protection from the initial laser beam attack. And 4, you need a damage dealing hero that does percentage base. So you need either a skill that reduces armor or reality by a huge percent, or you need a hero that on the attacking end of things does a percentage of the max damage. So you could either do Shatter or Mim. This is the formula that is followed by everybody for boss fights in Invasion. And you can succeed in Invasion, like I said before, even with weak heroes, as long as you have this formula. The most important part of Invasion is the friend discs. So having friend discs either maxed out or at least a couple stars on them is the most important part of most of the Invasion heroes that you see. So for example, King Louie. King Louie at max stars reduces the movement speed of the boss by 75%. I think this starts at like 15 or 20% or something like that if you're at 1 stars. So you can see that the more stars that you have on this friend disc, the better this is going to be for you. Just keep in mind, the friend disc is much more important than the overall power for the hero. The only exception for this really is Mim. Mim, since she stands up front, is definitely very susceptible to a lot of the damage that goes off. Mim is kind of dumb. She just strolls right on up to the boss, doesn't give a fuck. So Mim, she kind of does need to be a little bit strong for you in order for her to work, but if you can keep her safe, she'll definitely do great for you regardless. And she also doesn't even really need a friend disc because the blue skill is what makes her so good. Alright, so I'm still on a pretty weak bot, but we'll see how this works real quick for you guys. So there's the laser, and we just instantly kill him. But this is a very low fight. I'll come back once I reach a pretty decent point in the boss fights, or I just think of something else to say. Also, I'm sorry, I feel like this video is a little bit messy and all over the place. Hopefully it makes sense. So, now I've been going for Invasion for a little while now. This is around the time where I begin to struggle a little bit. Typically on the boss fights. I wanted to bring up one more thing, especially when we go back to the breaker half of things, but we also have these boosts down here that you get as rewards from breakers, like I mentioned a little bit before, as well as you can buy them in the shop right here. After you've been doing Invasion for a little while, you will accumulate these Invasion boss tech points that are used to buy these every single day. I recommend, as long as you get enough of these points, to buy every single thing in this shop except for the diamond ones. Be careful not to click on the diamond ones. They will get you sometimes. It'll fuck you over and you'll lose some diamonds. It won't really fuck you over, but you will lose some diamonds. Especially if you're just playing Invasion pretty actively and you have a lot of these points. Just buy every single thing in this shop every single day. It resets daily at 1 o'clock, as you see here, or whatever time it is in your time zone. I'm assuming it is 12 o'clock Central Time, because Per Blue is in Central US time, if you don't know that.
Wow. That's a good message.
The first day of Invasion Shop is definitely the worst rewards that you can buy from this, but after the first day, they get significantly better. And as long as you're playing Invasion, you will have plenty of points to just splurge on these. And this resets back to 0 every single week, so there's literally no reason to hang on to these Invasion Shop coin things. So just buy everything in the shop every single day as long as you can. But if you do not have enough, the ones that I would prioritize are going to be the hero power-ups, revives, especially if you're struggling, and invincibility and hex. Prioritize those first. The rest of them really don't matter as much. You really do not ever have to worry about, especially slow. You get tons of slow from just playing the game. So let's go back into this fight. I'm going to look at these real quick. So the slow, it is going to reduce the attack and movement speed of the boss or the enemies if you're in the breakers by 30% for the first 20 seconds of the fight. That is super helpful, especially for the boss. Sometimes I will use a slow against the boss and it really just helps give you that advantage right in the beginning of the fight. Armor and reality reduction, it reduces the enemy armor by 50% for the entire fight. So this doesn't go away after 20 seconds, which is cool. Invincible, if you couldn't guess, it makes your heroes invincible for the first 10 seconds. So this is super helpful for both the boss fight as well as breakers. This is by far the best breaker in my opinion. Usually if I'm struggling, especially with a breaker fight, I'll just throw an invincible on my team and I'll usually get a win. The energy regen one, it increases the energy your heroes get by 10%. This one is probably the worst one of the bunch. And the shield, it gives your heroes a shield at the start that lasts for 10 seconds. This one is also not super great. Hex, enemies start the fight hexed for the first 10 seconds of combat. So this is just like Mim and Ursula. What this will do is when the enemy attempts to use their white skill or their active skill, whatever one you prefer to call it, they will instead be stunned and they will lose all of their energy as if they had used their white skill. So this one is really good for breaker fights. It is completely useless in boss fights. Do not use hex in boss fights ever. 100% useless against the boss. Revive, it revives a hero. Definitely good to have a ton of, just because a lot of times, especially on breakers, as you get further and further along, your heroes will be dying a lot. So revives are definitely very important, and of course power-ups like I've been mentioning before. So those are the boosts. I've reached boss level 340. This is around the point, like I said, where I start to struggle a little bit. So I'm gonna go in manually. I should still win fairly easily, but hopefully you guys can see a little bit better how this all works. So you'll see we have the laser here. Jim, it actually absorbs that first laser. And now we have the shatter going off, and Shigo just does all the damage. That is how it works. The slow from Louis and Christoph get applied pretty much right away, so that the boss can't really do anything. Let's show that again. We'll do it in slow. So you'll see the laser right at the beginning of the fight. It will go at Shigo. It always targets the frontmost ally, by the way. Jim absorbs that hit, and then the boss is slowed, and he literally just stands there the entire time and just takes the hits because of the slows. And Shigo just does all the damage for you. So that's pretty much how it all works as far as the formula that I mentioned before. No one is really super high up yet. Usually people go really hard in Invasion, especially since I'm in the top guild. Maybe people are just still easily going along without any struggles yet. So we're just gonna keep on rolling here. Is there anything else I need to explain? Oh, let's show you guys the rewards here for a boss, actually. That's a good thing to show you guys. You will see that you get Invasion stamina for Breaker quests. This is what you need in order to fight in Breakers. So you get 5 for being the boss finder. This means that it is your boss. You have a power-up that you get. I don't know if you get one every single time for being the finder or not, but yeah, and then you get invasion points. Now, boss fights are significantly better for getting the invasion points for tiers and stuff. Breakers, you get 10,000 per wave, but overall you get way more from the boss fights, especially as you get stronger and stronger with the bosses. For being the finisher, this means that you are the one that defeated the boss, whether it was your bot or not. That you get 50 boss tech, which is used for the shop like I just showed you guys. You get invasion points, and you get a random boost. You also get a reward thingy for doing 10% of the boss's damage. Now, this will apply a little bit more as you get to the way tougher fights, but as long as you do more than 10% damage, you will get this reward, which also gives you more stamina, a revive, probably just a random boost, gives you more shop tokens as well as invasion points. And you also get another bonus thing for doing the most damage. So if you fight somebody else's bot and you lose, or you don't even do 10%, you will always get participated, and that is it. So that is the rewards. The most important aspect is going to just be invasion points and the stamina so that you can continue going in the breaker quests. This ramps up a lot, the amount of points that you get, especially as you get to stronger and stronger bots. This is how you're able to get the absolutely ridiculous scores that you see. Let's look at the leaderboard here. So you'll see that AC Slater already has 112 million invasion score. Like I said, 1.5 million is the amount that you need to reach max tiers, so these are just the people that are showing off. But after you reach a certain point in your boss, the points ramp up a ton, and you really reach a point where the bosses will give you like 1 million invasion score just for one boss. So the points really rack up after a little while. So after a certain point, it does become easier and easier to get really high scores. So this is why people try really hard to get the top here. The rewards really do not make it worthwhile to do this, in my opinion, unless you really just like showing off and being the top person. Here's another thing to bring up here. So the invasion rankings here, you'll see that you can see where you are, where you stack up in your league that you're currently in. This works pretty similarly to the way that Arena and Coliseum works, where you have, I think you probably start in like bronze or something like that, and you gradually just keep moving up and up and up in the rankings. As long as you are in the top 5, you will get promoted into the next league up, and eventually the top league you can reach is Challengers, which is where all of the best in Invasion go. Once you reach Challengers, you must remain in the top 60 in order to remain in Challengers. Otherwise, you will get demoted down to Platinum again, where I am currently. There's just a lot of people that try really hard in Invasion, so I honestly haven't really been trying to stay in Challengers, but every once in a while I will get promoted back in, and usually I will just get demoted right back. I kind of just go back and forth every single week. But the rewards do get a little bit better as you go up to Challengers. If you're able to be number 1 in the Challenger League, you will get 750,000 mod power, which if we compare that to what I get right now, even if I got into first place in the Platinum League, I will only get 378. So you do get double the amount of mod power, but overall, I really don't think it's super duper worth it. So honestly, I recommend just getting tiers. That's really all you need to worry about. So if you can get yourself to tiers, which is 1.5 million score, you're good to go. Unless you really either enjoy doing invasion or you're competitive, just get invasion tiers. That's all that really matters. As you can see, I'm almost at 1 million already. It takes about to 500 or so boss battle if you only fight your boss in order to max your tiers. Keep that in mind as well as like your personal goal for yourself. So I'm just gonna finish tiers here really quick. It shouldn't take too much longer for me. Ever since Shigo came out, Blue Invasion has been significantly easier. I kind of just rock this team or something similar, and I'm able to just cruise right on through. I think that is pretty much it for Invasion. I think I've explained pretty much everything. I know I was kind of going all over the place on this video, so I'm sorry if I made things kind of confusing, but I think I got all of my points across, and I hope you guys understand the way Invasion works a little bit better. Oh, I know one thing I forgot to mention. Going back over to Breakers, if you are beginning to struggle in Breakers, which should be coming up pretty soon for me. I usually start to struggle around breaker level 100. Just keep in mind, the breakers do have these wards which work the exact same way as the City Watch, Heist, all those other ones. They're the exact same wards. Every single breaker has 4 wards on it that you can fight these in order to get rid of them. Some of the wards are tougher than others, so what I recommend, do they show what the wards are here, just so I can have the list? Alright, cool. So, the ones that I think are the most difficult and the ones that you should worry the most about, in my opinion, are going to be this little sword one, which increases enemy basic damage, the snowflake looking one that increases enemy skill power. The attack speed reduction one can often be more annoying than you might expect. This gear looking one that's like a broken gear reduces your skill power. That one is also often very annoying. This one that is like a sword and an axe. Attacking damage heroes do less damage. That one is quite annoying. The one that makes enemies immune to disable is also extremely annoying. So those are the ones I would concentrate the most on if you see them in your wards. So if you're beginning to struggle in your breakers, I definitely recommend getting rid of those ones first. Often just do it one at a time. Get rid of one of those wards at a time. I'll just do it even though I don't really need to. I'll just fight it anyways. So you're just going to do it one at a time. You do get some gold. You don't really get any good rewards from it or anything like that. But you see the ward goes away, and now if you go back into this breaker fight, it should be significantly easier. But yeah, I recommend just going one at a time. So if you lose the fight, you go into the ward, hit this, go back in, try it again. The other thing you could easily do is you could try and use these boosts. Oftentimes what I find is the most effective is literally just using a slow and an invincibility, or a slow and a hex. Those are usually the most effective in my opinion, just so I'm not wasting all of them. But as you get to really strong breakers, if you're really going hard, oftentimes you can just throw the whole entire thing at it and just win. I'm going to not do that, and I'm just going to quick fight because I'm still on fairly easy ground right here. We'll see how much longer I last here. But yeah, I think that is actually all I really wanted to explain. I'm gonna finish tiers here really quick. I don't have too much longer to go here. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too confusing for you guys. That is pretty much everything that you really need to know to get started in Invasion. It's really not that complicated of a game mode, as long as you can get a pretty solid team for each team color for the boss fights. You will do fine every single week on Invasion. It is really not a super difficult game mode as people seem to make it out to be. If you're a new player, it does require some strategizing, especially for the boss fights. You will need to power up at least the friend disc for some very specific heroes, but if you can just power up those heroes, you should be fine. So like I said before, your heroes don't necessarily need to be all that strong in order to work. It is all entirely dependent on the friend disc. Even team color doesn't really matter. As you can see, I'm using Jim on Blue Invasion. Jim works great for protecting no matter what color you use him on. Animal works great for all colors. You can even use Louie for all colors. Shigo is only going to work on Blue Invasion. Russell is only going to work on Red Invasion, and Mim will only work on Yellow Invasion. But outside of them, pretty much all the rest of the heroes that I mentioned will work on every single color. As long as you put the formula together into a good solid team, you should be okay, as long as you got the friend discs. You will need Mim powered up a little bit. Shigo does not need to be powered up as long as you have protection for her. Neither does Russell. The two of them will kind of just work. But just keep in mind that Shatter is a level-based skill, so this means that it could fail as you get into the stronger bosses. Even with these power-ups, this skill is going to work up to heroes level 255. Hypothetically, if there was no power-ups at all, Shigo should work up until boss level 255 for you currently, at least, you know, in my game. Then as you add the power-ups, this will increase it by 114 times 3, which is 342. So you can do 255 plus 342, and that is how strong of a boss you will be able to fight before it begins to fail you. And it just continues up and up from there as you go. So that is how the level-based skills work. And yeah, I think that is actually it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, comment. I would hugely appreciate it. Yeah, that's gonna be it. Peace. 3, 4, 5. Fuck more. How did you go down?
何？お前は